Last couple of things before we head to the course. So you've got hold of your hickories now. I would highly recommend finding some linseed oil. Household stuff, not difficult to come by, but they will all, regardless of where they've come from, it's good giving them a good rub down with that. Leave it overnight, any more residue off in the morning, but they'll need to make sure you've got a bit of moisture in them. And they could be a bit dry, they might have been sitting around somewhere, especially if they've come from antique shops and things like that. You don't know where they've been kept. It's just best. It's not going to guarantee against any snappages, but it's a good idea. Likewise, it's a good idea to leave them lying flat wherever you can store them. Try not to leave them upright, obviously not upright next to a radiator or something. Leave them lying flat. If you can, somewhere like a garage or a shed, somewhere with a bit of moisture in the air. If you live in a really arid country, I don't know. I'm guessing you're just going to have to keep going with that stuff and make sure they don't dry out completely. But that's generally, you can feel when they're a bit brittle and things like that, and you can get, you start getting a bit of an eye and a bit of a feel for when they're looking good or not. But try and leave them lying flat, because otherwise they start bending and stuff like that. It's worth doing. Also, you're going to notice that you're going to have a variety of grips wherever you got them from, unless you're lucky enough to have gone to somewhere that's already got some nice grips on them. They could be ancient. They could be the grips that have been on there for 100 years. That's pretty close to original. And they're still usable, right? I'd still go out and play them. I probably have played that. But you're more likely to find this kind of stuff, these shinier leather grips, which can also be brought back to life relatively easily. I would rub down with methylated spirits, then either find some castor oil, or if you live anywhere where there's a horse place, equestrian, saddle soap is brilliant for this stuff. I don't know why, I don't know what it is, I don't even know what it does, but it's really good on these leather grips, right? So you can find these things that look a bit horrible and a bit shiny, and you really wouldn't want to go playing with those, but you can get some life back into them and they can be really pretty good. Otherwise, you're then waiting to get, you'll find a lot of players using the suede grips. So suede leather, which is just nice and soft, and it's definitely my favourite. It's what I use on all of my clubs if I've got them and I'm playing them for a long period of time. But that's a little bit further down the road. We can tell you about re-gripping them and things. For now, just get them in a state where you're happy going out and playing with them. I've never used a glove, so I don't know whether you'd actually want to. It probably be a bit weird going leather on leather, but anyway, completely up to you. I'm not really sure how that would work, but I'll leave that to you to find out. I would. The other couple of things to tweak: the tapes you're going to find important are lead and duct tape, right? Yeah, we can talk about swing weighting and things like that, but some of them might just feel a little bit light, even if you're just swinging them around in the garden to start with, right? Have a quick go at them, and if they feel a bit light, you can really bring a club back to life with lead tape. It is incredible. And yeah, there's a lot to be said for it, for like really making a very, very playable clubs. Normally the later ones, the stainless ones, feel a bit lighter. Older ones are sometimes heavier. This stuff, absolutely brilliant for just fixing up the bottom end of grips and things like that. Keep that on you, tearing little bits off and just tidying things up as they get a bit loose, even if you're going round. And even protecting the club down near the hosel. I sometimes pop it, if I'm using a club a lot, I'll pop a bit of tape around there, just the bag rub and stuff like that, even if it is bumping into other clubs and things. It's good just to get a little bit of extra protection around there. I think the next thing will then be hitting you is, how do you actually go out and play, right? The thing that I found out very early about Hickory is you feel like, oh, I've got to be very gentle with it. No, you can be quite tough on these clubs. They are designed to take a lot of flex across the strike, right? So if you're coming in to hit the ball, they're designed to take that flex. The shaft, the way the grain of it's lined up, it's, they've done that properly in that respect. What is really mad though is you can twist them with your hands. The torsion is insane compared to a modern club, and some of them, that's pretty good actually. Some of them are really, it's amazing how much you can twist them. So if you're getting it off those off-center strikes, yeah, that's going to be a bit mad. But don't be too afraid of putting a bit of flex across the shaft. I do you generally you see people trying to swing a lot easier when they first use Hickory, and when they do, sometimes they've got very low expectations. They think, oh, this is impossible. You're looking down at this thing and there's no way I could possibly hit that. And people can sometimes play very, very well the first time they use hickories because they're not expecting to get the ball airborne, and wow, it just goes like a normal golf club. So again, just try and just do everything you can just to try and just get it out the middle of the club, and that's going to probably be the best thing to do for the first time you take it out. Is it a good idea to go a little bit smoother? No, not quite full pelt as much as you would with a normal club, maybe. But I'd recommend that anyway, just being a little bit smoother in the takeaway, a little bit smoother in the transition. But don't be afraid about putting some speed into it, because a lot, if they've been looked after and they're good clubs, they can take it. Otherwise, what else are you going to do? You're going to be making sure you tee it down a bit lower. You're not going to be teeing it up high with one of these woods and trying to hit it on the up when you haven't got much face there to deal with. So you're probably going to be putting it a bit lower and squeezing it away. Otherwise, you're looking at things like looking at yardages probably to the front of the green, not the middles if you like your yardages, because the ball's probably going to release a bit more, especially if you've got clubs that don't have grooves. And otherwise, you just go out there and play. You might have to tinker around with ball position a little bit, get used to the clubs, and you can just find if they're going one direction or another. A little tweak in ball position can bring them right back on side very quickly. Otherwise, there's a bit to talk about from a strategy point of view, but it's probably just being more conservative with these clubs. Taking on pins over bunkers, again, you're probably not going to get the same amount of spin immediately. You're probably going to have to be steering away from trouble a little bit more. Long par fours, playing them a little bit more conservatively. Again, I think that's probably the best word to use that for the strategy, because you're not taking on big carries and stuff. No, you're plotting your way a little bit more than you would do with modern clubs. What else are good to get your hands on? Golf ball wise, low compression. You can look up on the websites and find the ones. There's a load of lovely balls out there now that are like 60, even 40, 50, 60 compression, which was unheard of when I was growing up and things. They were 90s or 100s and that was about it, wasn't it? But now you can get these lower compression ones. They're really, really good. I don't think that's so much to protect the shafts. They feel really good. It's more the woods. A lot of your woods probably won't have an insert. It's just a bare face, and we'll talk a bit how you can protect it a little bit more over time. But initially, when you start off, you're just hitting it off a bare bit of wood. Using a Pro V1 is going to cave that face in pretty soon. So with that said, I think that's pretty close to everything you'll need and everything you need to know to get out there on the golf course and start giving it a go. I think otherwise, just keeping it very, very simple. I found that Hickory golf helped me. You getting too technical, too many swing thoughts. No, it's just grip it a little bit lighter and try and get it out the middle. That's generally what I've used to play golf for 12 years now, is those kind of swing thoughts. If you start getting a bit too technical, you're going to top it. Right? It's not as forgiving as a modern club, and it kind of, not when you get all hippie about it, you've got to kind of empty your head a little bit and relax a little bit more and let the clubs do the work. But once you do, I know you'll be surprised. This is the second hole on the old course of Walton Heath. Anywhere right is death with any clubs, so really just trying to play down the left, which was a bit easier tonight with wind from the right. So I'm just playing down there to try and draw it back into the left half of the fairway. Very long par 4, so that's left me well over 180 yards to the front edge of the green from a hanging lie. Did not fancy that in the slightest, so I'm going with a medium iron, which I'm trying to put up the left-hand side away from a bunker on the right, and then rely on my short game. Long par 4s, I'm playing this like a 4.5. Give myself a putt for a par is the best I can possibly hope for, without hitting a long iron or a wood from a hanging lie. Fortunately, it worked out quite well. Hung onto the left half of the fairway, left side of the fairway there, left me a little chip up, which I went with a mashie to try and run it up. Lots of green to work with. I've left myself in a nice spot and played that really pretty badly. Yeah, that was not one of my best, but it made it onto the green and left me a putt for a par, which was all I was hoping for. The really best thing I could hope for from where I was. And very embarrassingly, up the hill, knocked it in for a 4. Third hole, Walton Heath Old, is a short par 4, so I'm hitting a driving iron, really just trying to chip it. Again, there's a bunker on the right. I don't want to go too far down the left, so I'm really just trying to chip it, just trying to hit it 200 yards. That's left me a short shot into a green with a deep bunker on the right, so I'm desperately trying to avoid that. The number there is 120 to the back fringe, so I'm kind of playing that yardage to make sure I stay left and I go long. That was a mashy niblick, which I'm just trying to use just to push it in, as you can see, and it did run through up to the back fringe, which I was very happy about. I've avoided the trouble. I've taken a double bogey off the cards, but I've not taken a bogey off the cards by hitting the first putt that badly. Can my putter save me again? Yes, it does. 2 pretty lucky pars there. This is now the 18th hole on the new course. A longish par 4, but I'm still just going with a long iron here off the tee with a driving iron, which I don't hit very well. It gets up in the wind and leaves me an awfully long way back from the semi-rough on the right. The thing to avoid here, there's another big bunker on the front, so I'm not playing anywhere near the pin. I'm playing left, because I know a chip from the left rough, I might sneak front fringe, but a chip from the left rough will be much better off than having a go at the bunker shot. So I'm hitting a mashy here from about 160 and trying to just keep it left. And I, again, succeeded. It went in the rough, but look, I've got a load of green. I've even got a little backstop there. It's not a bad place to chip from. Little mashy niblick chip. Downwind it was. Oh, only a breeze by now, right? But still, that's a little bit clumsy. That's flown too far and it's going to run up the slope. Can I, for 3 pars in a row, will the putter save me again? Slopey little one. Not too much trouble on this. Let's see if I can do it. Negative. Left it in the jaws.